Is Singapore the perfect place? Pros and cons of living in Singapore. How is life in Singapore generally speaking? Some people see moving to Singapore as a chance to upgrade their lifestyle. Incredible restaurants, world-class golf courses, and more can all be found across the country. For many others, the main draw of Singapore is the chance to advance in their careers. It's possible that they'd rather spend time socializing over endless dinners than learning about their field. Whatever your motivation for making the move, this video will arm you with all the information you need to make an informed decision. Living in Singapore has its perks. Increased home security, cleanliness, cultures can easily interact with one another, consequences of calling Singapore home, increased general expenditure. The weather isn't always pleasant. It's not easy to go on road vacations in Singapore. The roads are dangerous for pedestrians and bicycles. Laws that are more stringent. The city-state and independent nation offers a wealth of entertainment and thought-provoking possibilities. Singapore, assuming that's where you were intending to settle, the increasing number of foreign residents in Singapore is itself a compelling argument for the city desirability states as a preferred location for internationals seeking a new start. It's enticing for anyone, single or with a family, to make this place their permanent home. The allure of the Singaporean way of life is real, but before making the big shift, you should weigh those benefits against the costs. Lifestyle in Singapore, the facts. Located in the southeastern part of Asia, the island is home to people speaking a wide variety of languages. This city-state nation is one of the 4 Asian tigers and a sovereign nation. When measured against other countries, Singapore has the greatest GDP per capita and is ranked 9th on the UN Human Development Index. Some things to think about if you're considering a move to the country, including your children's and/or your own educational and medical needs, as well as your own and your family's safety and comfort in your new home. Consider retiring in Singapore, which has the longest life expectancy and the lowest infant mortality rate in the world. For what reasons would you recommend relocating to Singapore? If you're trying to decide whether or not to visit Singapore, it's more important to figure out why you should go there than it is to learn about the reasons why you shouldn't. Expats are drawn to Singapore for a variety of reasons, including the country's high cleanliness and social safety standard. Greater housing quality. Having a high percentage of citizens who own their own homes is a major draw for foreigners considering a move to the country. Due to a lack of available land, bungalows are quite uncommon. In the countryside, though, you are more likely to locate lodging in apartment or condo towers. You may find everything you need, from a gym to a swimming pool, in one convenient location. In order to take a deep breath of fresh air, you need not travel very far from your home. Regarding the security, when relocating with loved ones, safety must be a top priority. Unless you have some sort of shady past, Singapore is one of the safest locations on earth. The police department has a wide array of cutting-edge tools and public safety infrastructure at its disposal for keeping the populace safe. In 2017, Singapore ranked second only to Tokyo on the Intelligence Unit's Safe Cities Index. Likewise, Singaporeans have a reputation for being trustworthy. So if you misplace your phone or computer, you're probably going to get it back. The cleanliness of Singapore is a strong selling point for the country. You won't be able to enjoy the city's architecture as much from a bus or train because you can't bring any food or drink with you. Singapore is a great spot to settle down if you're the type that thrives on structure and order, as you'll find plenty of other individuals who feel the same way. In case you tend to be sloppy when disposing of trash, please do so properly here. Simple accessibility. Singapore is one of the smallest countries in the world, with a total area of 731 square kilometers, or about 282.2 square miles. This means that getting from one end to the other won't take up too much of your time. The city's MRT or LRT train system, along with its buses and taxis, makes getting around quick and easy. It only takes a few minutes to get anywhere in the city thanks to the convenient public transportation system. Diversity in cultures. Despite its diverse population, Singapore is a symbol of incredible harmony. Even more unexpectedly, the little country is a hub for a wide variety of cultural celebration and culinary traditions. English, Mandarin Chinese, Malay, and Tamil are the city's 4 official languages. Since English is so widely spoken, you wouldn't worry about being misread or misheard. Where are the negatives of life in Singapore lie? Consequences of calling Singapore home are listed alongside its advantages. As a final thought, remember to weigh the costs of living in Singapore against the benefits. There are a few problems you could encounter besides the cost of living here. Increased basic living expenses. You might be able to find a rental in the suburbs, but the rising cost of necessities like healthcare, schooling, food, and transportation would make it difficult to afford the rent. When compared to other developed economies like the United States or Europe, the cost of purchasing an automobile in Singapore is extremely high. The cost of sending your children to school in Singapore is one of the many drawbacks of making the city-state your permanent home. When it comes to the cost of living as an expat, Singapore is among the top 20 worldwide. The weather isn't always agreeable. If you enjoy being outside in the sun, you might not like Singapore's tropical climate. Even if it's still above 30 degrees, going anywhere will probably result in you sweating more than the usual. The heat is unbearable, especially towards the middle of the day, so outside activities are out of the question. However, the incentive to go for jogs and evening or morning walks is the abundant vegetation all around you. Driving isn't ideal in Singapore. Because of the country's tiny size, weekend excursions typically consist of wandering the urban core. If you are an adventurer who enjoys driving around new places, you may be disappointed to learn that Singapore is just about half as big as London. Roads are dangerous for pedestrians and bikers. If you don't have access to a vehicle or the public transportation system, your daily life in Singapore may be more difficult. More cars mean less room for pedestrians and bikes on the roadways leading to city destinations. There is also less room for pedestrians on the roads outside of crosswalks in the urban core. It's not uncommon to see cyclists on sidewalks, especially if those sidewalks are too narrow for pedestrians. If you like to stroll around the city, you may be putting yourself in harm's way due to these negative aspects of living in Singapore. A major drawback of stricter restrictions is being a Singaporean resident. To enforce these rules and ensure that criminals are not able to hide in the city, the Singaporean government has increased its efforts to clean up the city and spy on criminals. Cameras placed at random in public spaces like streets and parks can make some people uneasy. Remember that it's against the law to sell gum or cigarettes in public, and that smoking and drinking are also prohibited. Feeding pigeons and using a personal Wi-Fi network are both illegal in Singapore. Final thoughts on Singapore's pros and cons. Singapore has the best environment, but the high expense of living and tougher rules are major problems for expats. Even if English is your native tongue, you may experience difficulty communicating with locals if you are a newcomer to the city. Considering the benefits and drawbacks of living in Singapore, it's evident that you need a solid financial foundation to make major purchases like buying a home or automobile. Perhaps the solution to the financial difficulties you're having here is to get a high-paying career. For more videos like this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. See ya!